My 17-year-old daughter got excluded from my sister's wedding because, apparently, she was too young. I didn't kick up a fuss about it. I just told them we wouldn't be going. But when Christmas rolled around, I made one quiet decision that flipped the entire family upside down. I'm Hannah, by the way, the oldest of 3 sisters. And growing up, that meant I was the responsible one. The go-to. The built-in babysitter. The one who stepped up when our parents were worn out or mentally checked out. Honestly, I didn't mind much. Not at the beginning. That was just the dynamic. Sophie, my middle sister, was the star of the show, always performing, always drawing eyes. Then there was Lily, the youngest, the so-called baby of the family. She could do no wrong. Me? I was the one cleaning up behind everyone else, making sure things stayed in order. As I got older and became a mom myself, things shifted, but only on the surface. I adopted my daughter, Zoe, when she was just 3 years old. She had these big, soulful eyes that seemed to take in everything, quietly sizing up the world like she didn't quite trust it yet. I remember the first time she called me mom. I cried alone in the car after dropping her off at preschool. From day one, I made a vow to her. No matter what, she would always feel wanted in my family. That was a promise I intended to keep with everything I had. But I couldn't keep it, no matter how hard I tried. Sophie got engaged last spring. It was a whole production. Big announcement, huge diamond, over-the-top Instagram post. I congratulated her, of course. Zoe even made her a card, cutting out little wedding bells and gluing them on with way too much glitter. Sophie said it was cute, then left it in the back seat of her car. I found it there 2 weeks later, half smashed under a half-empty Starbucks cup. Still, Zoe stayed excited. She started browsing dresses online, asking me whether she should wear her hair up or down. She seemed hopeful, but I could tell she was nervous too. She really wanted to be a part of it. Then the invitation showed up in the mail. One of those high-end ones, thick, glossy paper, gold foil trim. Probably cost more than my water bill for the month. I opened it at the kitchen counter while Zoe worked on homework at the table nearby. The usual stuff: date, location, dress code, RSVP link on a fancy website. Then, right there at the bottom, adults only. 18 plus strictly enforced. No exceptions. I read it twice, thinking maybe I missed something. But no, I didn't. Zoe must have caught the look on my face because she glanced up from her notebook and asked, "She doesn't want me there?" I told her, "It's an adults-only wedding. 18 and up." She went quiet for a beat, then said, "Is it because I'm adopted?" That one sentence shattered me. She didn't even say it with anger, just a quiet, matter-of-fact tone, like it was a truth she'd already learned to live with. I told her, "No, of course not." But I knew what she meant. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Not exactly this, but similar. Little things. Offhand comments that stung. Like the time my mom introduced Zoe to someone as Hannah's girl, never our granddaughter. Or when Sophie referred to her as your daughter, like Zoe wasn't part of the family, just some kid from down the street. Holidays were the worst. Zoe would offer to help in the kitchen, and people would just ignore her. I kept telling myself they didn't mean anything by it, that it wasn't intentional. But deep down, I knew better. This time, it was unmistakable. I didn't argue, didn't make a scene. I just opened the RSVP link and clicked not attending. No message, no drama, just no. I figured that would be the end of it. But the next day, Sophie texted me, "Hey, saw your RSVP. Everything okay?" Then another one. "If this is about the age thing, just know we're being super consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, right?" Sure, nothing personal. Except Zoe's her niece. And she's 17, not a toddler. I didn't respond. Then Lily texted me. "Sophie said you're not coming? What's going on?" A little later, my mom called. She never calls just to chat, so I picked up, already bracing myself. "Hannah," she said, "I heard you're not going to the wedding. Is this really about the age limit?" I said, "Zoe's not invited. I'm not going without her. She's nearly 18. She's not a little kid," my mom said. "She's family." There was a pause. "Don't punish your sister over this. It's just one night." I didn't argue. I just said, "We're not going," and hung up. That should have been the end of it. Then the group chat blew up. The guilt tripping started, and the passive-aggressive little jabs weren't even veiled anymore. Lily texted, "I can't believe you're making such a big deal over one rule. You always find a way to stir up drama." Someone added, "Zoe's not the only one not invited. This isn't about her. You're the one making it about her." My mom chimed in with a long, preachy message about forgiveness and family unity. She went on about how we've all made sacrifices, how hard it is to be caught in the middle. I didn't say anything back. I didn't see the point. Zoe quietly deleted the photos of dresses she'd saved to her phone. She stopped asking about the wedding. She didn't cry. And somehow, that's what broke my heart the most. Not the tears, but the fact that she didn't seem surprised. It was like she'd already figured out what I had spent years pretending wasn't real. So when Christmas came and not one of them apologized or even acknowledged what happened, I made a quiet decision of my own. I didn't invite them. No big announcement, no angry messages, just silence. And weirdly, that's what really set them off. If you'd asked me 10 years ago what I thought motherhood would be like, I would have said birthday parties, sticky-fingered hugs, glitter ground into the carpet. I wouldn't have said it meant shielding a child from people who claim to love you both. When Zoe came into my life, she was 3 years old, so serious it could break your heart. She had these huge brown eyes and soft little curls, and she looked at the world like it was something she had to survive. She didn't warm up fast. She didn't giggle on command. She didn't run into my arms like some feel-good movie scene. But the first time she reached out and took my hand at the grocery store without me asking her to, I sat in the parking lot afterward and cried for 10 solid minutes. My husband, James, said something I'll never forget. He looked at me and said, "That was the moment she picked you." And from that moment on, I've been choosing her every single day. But the rest of my family? They never quite knew what to do with her. At first, I chalked it up to them adjusting. I told myself it was just a learning curve. Zoe didn't look like me. She didn't have my last name yet. She wasn't loud or quick to jump into conversations during family get-togethers. I wanted to believe that's all it was. But it was more than that. It was the way my mom called her, the little one, instead of using her name. The time Sophie asked, "Are you going to tell her she's adopted when she's older?" While Zoe was standing right there. It was how Lily's kids got personalized Easter baskets from my parents, and Zoe said "Happy Spring" in generic font like it came from a clearance rack. It wasn't blatant. It was subtle, polite enough to overlook if you didn't want to see it. But Zoe saw. She always saw. And I tried. I really, really tried. I gave them the benefit of the doubt more times than I can count. I explained. I redirected. I tried to be patient and understanding. When Zoe was 6, she told my dad she wanted to be an artist someday. He smiled and said, "You'll need to find something more practical than that." When she was 8, she drew a picture of our little family, me, James, and her, and proudly gave it to my mom. My mom smiled, said, "Thank you," and set it down like it was a receipt. Never said another word about it. Later, Zoe asked me why her drawing wasn't on the fridge with her cousin's art. I didn't know what to say. The first time I really lost my patience was at Lily's engagement party. Zoe was 12 then. Lily had invited us with a group text that listed the time, date, and venue. No personal message. No "can't wait to see you." Just info. Still, we went. Because I thought, this is how we change things. We keep showing up. We keep trying. Zoe wore this pale blue dress she picked out herself, along with these little silver flats she absolutely adored. She was nervous. Kept asking if she looked okay, if it was all right to stay close to me at the party. She just wanted to fit in. When we walked in, Lily gave us a tight-lipped smile and a quick hi, then turned immediately to hug someone else. She didn't say a word to Zoe. No compliment. No, "You look so grown up." Just air. We were there maybe 20, 25 minutes tops. Zoe never left my side, not once. On the way home, she said quietly, "I don't think she likes me." I told her, "She doesn't really know you." And Zoe just looked out the window and said, "She's had 10 years. I didn't have anything to say to that, because she was right. The truth is, I don't think my family ever truly believed that Zoe was permanent. It's like deep down, they thought she was just a phase. That eventually I'd have a real child. One that looked like me, one that fit the family mold. And then this chapter with Zoe would just be something sweet to look back on. Like, remember when Claire fostered that little girl? They never said it out loud. They didn't have to. Last year, for Zoe's 16th birthday, we rented out a room at the community center. She wanted to display her artwork. That was her idea, not some big party or a DJ, but her paintings, cupcakes, and the people who'd supported her along the way. She even designed and mailed the invitations herself. Sent them to family, friends, and a few of her teachers. Lily didn't show. Sophie didn't either. My parents came late, half an hour after it started, with a generic card that read, "To a sweet girl," and a $20 bill folded inside. Zoe thanked them. She always does. Always polite, always gracious. Afterward, she didn't say much. Just helped clean up, packed her canvases back into the car without a word. Later that night, after the dishes were done and everyone had gone home, I found one of her sketches. It was a drawing of the three of us, me, James, and her, standing at the party. But our faces were blank. And that's when something shifted in me. That was the moment I stopped hoping they'd ever change. Not because of the late arrival. Not because of the bare minimum effort. But because Zoe didn't seem hurt anymore. Not in the way she used to be. She'd stopped expecting anything from them. And that scared me more than all the rest combined. So when the wedding invitation never came, not even a phone call, not a single word, I knew exactly what it meant. No need to argue. No need to beg or ask for an exception. I just told Zoe we wouldn't be going. She didn't cry. She just nodded and said, okay. That night, before bed, she asked, do you think they even noticed we weren't there? I told her, yes. Of course they did. Because I needed her to believe she mattered, even if they didn't. We spent the weekend of the wedding at home. James made French toast. Zoe painted in the sunroom with the sunlight pouring in through the glass. I actually sat down and read a book from start to finish. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't some protest. It was just peace. And to be honest, it felt strange. The quiet was a kind I hadn't experienced in years. It made me realize just how much noise I'd gotten used to, the kind that comes wrapped in obligation, guilt, and strained smiles. I didn't miss the ceremony. Didn't care what the flowers looked like or how the cake tasted. I thought about Zoe instead. Thought about how she used to hang on their every word, waiting for a crumb of approval. How they trained that hope right out of her, little by little. And I thought about the next holiday. For years, I'd hosted Christmas out of habit, out of guilt. I'd invite them, cook for them, clean up after them. I'd smile through the stiff conversations and pretend their lukewarm affection was enough. Not this year. This year, I was doing something different. In early December, James asked, should I order the usual folding chairs? I shook my head. Not this year. No extra seats. He didn't question it. Zoe didn't either. When the group chat started buzzing with the usual questions, who's bringing dessert to Hannah's this year? Are we coming over the night before like always? I stayed quiet. Just let the messages sit there, unread. I didn't send out a message announcing I wasn't hosting. Didn't post a long explanation or tell anyone they were uninvited. I just said nothing. And apparently, that silence was louder than any speech I could have made. By December 15th, the group chat was in a full-on spiral. Lily wrote, Hannah, are we still doing Christmas Eve at your place? Just let me know what you need me to bring. Then came Sophie, of course. Will Zoe be around this time? Let me know if she wants anything specific. That one hit me. If she's even going to be there this time. Like my daughter was some kind of question mark in her own family. Like Zoe was the problem. Like her absence at their wedding was somehow her fault. Not because they didn't invite her, but because she didn't just show up anyway to play nice. And for the first time in years, I didn't reply. I didn't clean the house from top to bottom. I didn't pre-order a roast or pull out the folding chairs. I didn't dig the heavy table leaf out of the garage like I always did. I just didn't. And when no one got an answer, the calls started. First it was my mom. I let it ring. Then Lily. Then Sophie. Then my dad left a voicemail. Hannah, we just want to know what's going on. Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing. The right thing? Like serving a meal to people who excluded my daughter would somehow undo what they'd done. Like feeding them would be some kind of balm for the wounds they refused to even admit existed. We didn't host anyone that year. Instead, James and I made lasagna in our pajamas while Zoe baked sugar cookies that barely held their shapes. We stayed home, watched movies, opened our gifts early. We laughed more than we had in months. It felt normal, in a way the holidays never had before. No one tiptoed around eggshells. No one had to decode the barbs buried in innocent comments. No one fell quiet when Zoe walked into the room. It was just us. And that's when the messages shifted. December 26th, group chat. Sophie. I just think it's sad. We've all tried to welcome Zoe, but Hannah's made it impossible to connect with her. Then Lily. I mean, if you cut off family every time there's a disagreement, you'll end up alone. This is cruel. I'm sorry, but it is. My mom texted me a photo of their Christmas tree with the caption. It wasn't the same without you. Zoe would have loved her gifts. But I didn't answer. Because those weren't gifts for Zoe. They were guilt-wrapped invitations to come back and pretend everything was fine. And I'd spent years doing that, smiling through it, swallowing it, pretending. A few days later, a card showed up in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. My mother. Inside, one line stood out. I wish you'd think about the example you're setting. Zoe will see how easily you shut people out. And that one stuck with me. Because I realized, yeah, that is what I want Zoe to see. Not that love is disposable, but that love, real love, doesn't ask you to shrink. It doesn't ask you to make yourself small so others can stay comfortable. It doesn't ask you to sit quietly while people smile past your pain. Zoe never asked about the messages, but I know she felt it, the tension hanging in the room. She's never been the type to ask outright. She just watches, takes it all in, like she's still trying to figure out which parts of this world are actually safe. One night, she was curled up on the couch, blanket over her legs, sketchbook balanced on her knees. She paused midline and said, if I wasn't adopted, do you think they'd like me more? That hit harder than anything anyone had said. I sat down next to her. Sweetheart, I said, they'd probably pretend better. But the way they treat people who aren't like them, that's never been about you. She looked up at me, those same serious eyes she had the day I met her, and said, I don't think I want them to like me anymore. And that That was the moment I stopped waiting for an apology. A few days later, my father called again. I let it go to voicemail. Then a text. Your mother's not sleeping. She feels like she's lost you. We know we messed up, but that doesn't justify shutting everyone out. That's not who you are. I stared at that line for a long time. That's not who you are. I used to wonder. Used to ask myself if maybe I was being too cold, too sensitive, too harsh. But not anymore. Now I know who I am. I'm someone who finally sees the line between peace and silence. I'm someone who knows that keeping the peace at the expense of my child's dignity isn't grace, it's fear dressed up like tradition. And the final straw? Sophie sent a voice memo. One of those syrupy, passive-aggressive monologues where every sentence is padded in politeness but packed with knives. I just think it's sad, Hannah. You always made such a big deal about how much you love Zoe. But now it feels like you're using her as a shield. Like any time someone doesn't treat her like royalty, you cut them out. That's not healthy. That's not parenting. That's obsession. That's where I stopped listening. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Because if loving Zoe fully, fiercely, without apology is considered obsession in their world, then yes, I'm obsessed. Obsessed with protecting the girl who needed someone in her corner more than anyone ever had. And there's nothing they could say that would make me regret that. New Year's came and went in silence. No countdown. No noise. Zoe fell asleep on the couch with a half-eaten cookie in her hand, wrapped in a throw blanket. James and I toasted with mugs of tea instead of champagne. Fireworks flickered across the TV, the sound turned down low. He looked over at me and asked, "Do you miss them?" I thought about it for a while, then said, "No. I miss who I thought they were. But that version of them? That family? It never really existed." He just nodded, didn't push, just reached over and took my hand. I don't know what's coming next. I'm sure they'll keep trying. People like that don't go quietly. There'll be more texts. More guilt-wrapped pleas. Maybe a surprise visit at Zoe's graduation, pretending nothing ever happened. But I've made my decision. There won't be a big blow-up. No dramatic confrontation. Just space. Quiet, firm space. And sometimes, that's the most powerful thing you can offer someone. It happened on a Thursday. Cold. Gray skies. A kind of stillness in the air that made everything feel paused. I'd just gotten home from work, still wearing my coat, key still in hand, when the doorbell rang. Wasn't expecting anyone. James was working late. Zoe was upstairs putting together her portfolio for college applications. I opened the door, and there they were. My parents. Standing on my porch like it was a scene out of some old memory. Like we could just rewind everything and start over. My mom was holding a Tupperware container, probably oatmeal cookies. Her classic kind. Soft in the middle, burnt at the edges. She used to make them when I was a kid. "Hannah," she said, with this breathy little smile. "We thought we'd stop by." I didn't say anything. Just stared at the cookies in her hands like they might explode. My dad cleared his throat, shifted beside her. "Can we come in? Just for a minute?" "No." There was a pause. Surprised maybe, but only for a second. My mom tried again, layering her voice with warmth. "We just wanted to talk. Things got heated, but we're still your family." She held out the container. "Peace offering." I didn't take it. That's when her smile cracked a little. "You don't have to be like this," she said. Her voice had a sharp edge now. "We know it's been hard, raising a teenager, pushing everyone else away." Then my dad chimed in. "We've tried to be patient. We gave you space. But this." He shook his head. "You're going to lose your real family over a girl who's leaving in a few months." My stomach clenched. "She's 17, my mom said softly. "She'll be gone soon. Off to college. And then what? You'll be alone. You'll regret this." But I heard it. The real words hiding beneath the ones they were saying. This wasn't about reconciliation. This was about control. And then she said it. The thing I think she'd always believed quietly in the spaces between words. "I'm sorry, Hannah, but she's not blood. She's not really one of us." She said it gently. Like she was helping me. Like she expected me to nod and say, "You're right." I lost perspective. Instead, I took a deep breath. Stepped back. "You need to leave. Right now." My dad blinked. "Hannah." No, louder this time. Firmer. "You don't get to come here with cookies and pity and call it kindness. You don't get to insult my daughter to my face and then wonder why you're not welcome. You're going to regret this," my mom said again, voice cracking now. "When she leaves you. When she forgets about you. You'll see. Our door will still be open. You'll come back. You'll realize we were right." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. I closed the door, locked it, and stayed there, back pressed to the wood, until I couldn't hear their footsteps anymore. I told Zoe the next day. I hadn't planned to, didn't want her carrying their poison, but I've never lied to her. Not about the things that matter. She sat so still while I explained what they'd said. How they thought she'd leave me. How they insisted she wasn't really family. How they believed one day I'd come crawling back. She didn't cry, But her hands gave her away, curled so tight in her lap her knuckles went white. Her shoulders locked into place like she was bracing for impact. "They really think I'll leave you," she said. "No," I told her gently. "They hope you will. That way I'll need them again." She nodded slowly, deliberately. "They don't get to hope things about me," she said. And I thought that would be it. A quiet moment, a sad truth, and then we'd move on. I should have known better. A week later, my cousin Olivia forwarded me an email. It was from Lily, sent to the entire extended family. Long-winding, passive-aggressive in that special way only Lily could master. The message was clear. I'd abandoned the family for a girl who had manipulated her way into my life. Zoe, she claimed, had driven a wedge between me and everyone else. She called her difficult, ungrateful, said our relationship was unhealthy, said I was obsessed, said Zoe was vile. And somehow, it worked. People started reaching out. Margaret texted me, asking if I was okay. Uncle Robert called James, asking if I was having some kind of breakdown. And Zoe saw it too. A comment from my second cousin Avery under one of her art posts. "You're very lucky. Don't forget who gave you a home." I saw her face when she read it. I saw what it did to her. And that was the final straw. I didn't write a reply. I wrote a dossier. Screenshots. Messages. Photos. Every ignored invitation. Every family event she was excluded from. Every nasty little whisper disguised as concern. I laid it all out. Every receipt. Every subtle cruelty documented. Plain. Undeniable. Then I wrote a letter. Not angry. Not emotional. Just the truth. I sent it to the extended family. Once. Subject line. For those who wanted the full story. I didn't ask anyone to take sides. Didn't demand apologies. I just told the truth. Some responded. Some didn't. A few quietly unfriended Lily. A few didn't believe me at all. It didn't matter. Because it wasn't for them. It was for her. So Zoe would never again sit there wondering if she imagined it all. So she'd never have to ask, would they like me if I was blood? After that, I blocked anyone who tried to argue. Anyone who said, but maybe if you just talked it out. Anyone who valued keeping the peace more than keeping a child safe from emotional abuse wrapped in holiday traditions. And just like that, the noise stopped. We never heard from them again. Not directly. I'm sure they still talk about us. I'm sure I'm a story they tell at parties when someone brings up difficult children. I'm sure Zoe's name is still spoken in tight, judgmental tones. Let them talk. They gave up the right to know her. Fast forward, Zoe's in college now. Art program. Top of her class. She still calls every night. Not because she has to. Just because it's what we do. She sends me pictures of her sketches. Sometimes she asks what I think. Sometimes she just wants to say goodnight. When I dropped her off at her dorm, she hugged me for a full minute, arms tied around my ribs like she was trying to memorize the shape of home. And then she whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." She meant it physically, probably meant she'd call, meant we'd still be us even with a few states between. But I knew what she really meant. She wasn't leaving me. Not the way they'd hoped she would. People say you can't choose your family. I did. I chose her. Over blood. Over guilt. Over the years, I've been taught to stay small and quiet and agreeable. And if they're still out there, waiting for me to crawl back, waiting for the inevitable reunion where I apologize for putting my daughter first. Let them wait. Sometimes I still think about that moment on the porch. My mother holding out those cookies like they were some kind of spell. Like a little burnt sugar and a smile could undo everything they never had the guts to say out loud. And sometimes, when it's late, when the house is too quiet, when the tea's gone cold beside me, I wonder if I overreacted. If maybe I could have tried harder. Stayed softer. Forgiven more. But then I remember the look on Zoe's face when I told her. They don't get to treat you like that. I remember the way she held me when she left for college. And I remember the promise I made her, the one no one ever made me when I was her age. That I'd choose her. Every time. So, yeah, I think I did the right thing. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and if this story meant something to you, don't forget to hit subscribe. There's more where this came from.